What you've been hearing so far this morning has been all about prayer, even through every song that's been sang. The words even I spoke in my meditation were 5 steps of prayer that we refer to as spiritual mind treatment. Directed affirmative prayer, scientific prayer, that's what's taught in this denomination we know as Unity, and in New Thought and religious science and almost all New Thought teachings. Scientific prayer, a little bit different way of approaching prayer, but a very powerful, effective way to look at prayer and to connect with God and with Spirit. So to bring this forward and to tell us more about this, it's my pleasure and honor to bring up Reverend Mary Beth Speer, who's going to continue the lesson this morning.
Are you warm enough?
Yes.
At least for a moment. When I looked down this morning, I saw 0 on our floor, driving over here. And it was funny because I was telling the 9 o'clock group, we had wonderful music when we were ministers in California also. And we had one particular music director who liked to take standards and rewrite them, funny words. And so when we had our installation ceremony at our first church, Jean-B of Armstrong had sung a song for us that went, "You'll never talk alone." And I thought, this morning might change when I drove the parking lot, so I'm really glad you're all here. And I particularly want to acknowledge people that are brand new, because this took even a little bit more for you to get here. So well done, everybody, on yourselves. Good job. Yeah, I'm from California, Southern California. Never even had a snowblower until I was in my mid-50s. Michael didn't even know what they were because he was from Chicago. They didn't have snowblowers downtown. So I'm on the phone with my sister this week talking to her, and she's telling me about, oh my God, it's so cold here, I had to put on a sweater. And then I'm looking on Facebook, and I'm seeing these people writing about, we've had rain for over an hour. Pray for us. Yeah, we're going to pray for you. They're all holding things up going, what are these? And they're umbrellas. So anyway, we're hoping that the drought might be over there. But mostly I want to talk about prayer today. So a little bit different kind of prayer than that. As Michael mentioned to you, we're talking about this concept called affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. Treatment is something where you treat your mind. In fact, it's kind of funny. It's actually a process of prayer. We're going to go through it, and when you leave here today, you will have the nuts and bolts about how to do that. There's a beautiful book we carry that is one written by one of Greg Barrett's mentors, Jane Elizabeth Hart. And I've been working with the spiritual power tools and support for your soul. Greg refers to this quite a bit in our church, the 7-step process for success, journaling, meditation, that kind of thing. Now, the tool that you're going to get, the power tool today called Spiritual Mind Treatment, isn't in here. So if you're interested, you do have a little sheet in your folder that you can refer to after today so that you can at least remember the steps that we're going to be talking about. So we're good on that. But prayer, essentially, and this is something where I like going back to basics at the beginning of the year, and there's nothing more basic for me in my orientation in this theology we're in called New Thought. Here in Unity, we have one way that we do prayer, a couple of ways actually, and then there's other theologies of New Thought. One of them was the one that I came out of, where they taught something called the science of mind, and completely compatible with us because the founder of that was kissing cousins with the founders of Unity. So they're all kind of in there together, and all of our techniques, technologies, and tools really interweave quite lovely, in a lovely way. So this is just one more that you can add and power up those spiritual practices that some of you may have made some commitments to do in this new 2016. As far as spiritual mind treatment goes, it's prayer. And what we're going to talk about first is what exactly does that mean? What exactly is prayer? Because I will say that not all prayer is spiritual mind treatment, but all treatment is prayer. Okay? So we're always praying, but it's just a different flip on it in a different form. So the way I came about the idea of doing this is when Greg had asked me what did I want to talk about today, what was the title I could give them, what immediately came to my mind was a song that we used to sing in one of my churches. And it came out of the Sermon on the Mount, and after the Beatitudes and after the Lord's Prayer, there was the talk about seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened, ask and it shall be given. And we used to do a song around that, which I thought was great. And so I thought, okay, seek, knock, ask. And all of a sudden I went, those are the first 3 steps of this process called treatment. So what a good way that we can teach it that way. So that's what the talk today is called, seek, knock, and ask. So we're going to break that down, and I want to break it down first and foremost by starting to talk about prayer. What is it? What is prayer? And there's different definitions for prayer. If you go to Webster's, there's a different definition. If you go to New Thought dictionaries, but one of the things it says in the dictionary with Webster's, I noticed, is in 3 different variations on prayer. The words say something to the effect of a humble communication in thought or speech to God. In another place it says an address or a petition to God. And in another place it says an act of saying words to God. So I thought, well, that's interesting. It all comes, by the way, from the very first usage of the word prayer came out of the Middle English and also medieval Latin. And it was from an old word that meant entreaty. So now, in my dictionary, I ran in there to see what that meant. And they actually had 2 definitions of the word entreaty, which I thought was interesting. One of them being a plea. And I thought, well, that's very consistent because I think a lot of us grew up on the penitent prayer, right? Penitent prayer, oh please, let me have that parking space. Oh please, let me get that perfect right, perfect made. Oh please, I want that house, that job, that whatever that might be. So that made sense. And the other one was, I thought was good, also means a serious request for something. A serious request for something. So that to me gave us a little bit of a split here that I'm able to work with from what old penitent prayer to somebody at that God in the sky. A lot of us, I think, had a God in the sky somewhere along the line, right? Didn't we? Wasn't quite sitting in the same seat we are, which is what we teach, that right where I am, God is. But that was not really what I was taught when I was growing up. I don't know how you were. But that fit with the idea of I'm praying to something. So in spiritual mind treatment, one of the things that's really different about it is we're not praying to anything. We are praying through something. And we are praying through our own seeking what? We seek first. What is it we seek first? What are we told? Seek this and all else is added. Do you even know? The kingdom, right? So we're going to be praying through the kingdom, not to it, right? Right now, seek first the kingdom. So there's number 1, we're seeking. And we're seeking God, but what we're seeking is what is God, not that God out there that's separate from us, because there actually is called duality. Okay, that's like 2 of us. And what we're taught here in unity is that there is one of us. So we can even refer to the word God and change that word and name source. So we can say there's only one source and infinite resources. And we're one of those. You know, there's infinite ways that life can show up for us, and it's not always just one way. And we don't have to plead for it. We just have to have kind of a serious request for something. Does that make sense? So anyway, the affirming of spiritual mind treatment, it's not an act of overcoming God's resistance. God, source, life, infinite intelligence, whatever words we want to use for God, has no resistance to us. There feels like there's resistance sometimes, doesn't it? So we can look at that and go, gosh, where is that resistance? Well, maybe it's in me. So that's part of the work we do when we do spiritual mind treatment, because if there's no resistance in life, if there's no resistance in the infinite source of all good, that's all possible, and seek first the kingdom and all else is given, if we're told all these things, and we have been, and the master teacher told us that life's being done unto us as we believe, So what we find out is not that we're getting what we want, we're actually in life, we're getting who we are. So the game here is to be able to kind of look at who am I and what is possible here, what is possible for me to grow into. Because God's willingness is completely infinite. So being able to access the kingdom is all about, we can access all of it. Every iota of the infinitude is available to us. Ooh, but there's a catch. There's always a catch, right? There's a catch. The catch is at the level of our understanding. So, seek ye first the kingdom, all else is added. And so now, knock, and it shall be opened. So I'm seeking the kingdom, and I'm inquiring into the kingdom in my mind, and now I'm going to knock. Now, if I knock on a door, if you knock on a door, doesn't somebody on the other side have something to say? They will say, if they don't just automatically open the door, they might say, who is it? Right? Go, it's me, God, it's me. That aspect of you, it's me. This is the knock, and it shall be open. Oh, it's you, my beloved, to whom I am well pleased. So this is a different kind of energy than we've prayed out of, isn't it? I have a wonderful way to kind of set the stage here to really give us a little bit of a paradigm shift on prayer. It comes out of a wonderful book by a Unity minister by the name of Eric Butterworth. Yeah, well, I'm getting a lot of laughs here. Mrs. Butterworth's husband, right? Very sweet. Anyway, what I want to do is I want to read a portion of this to you because it's a beautiful meditation. And I think it will take you into a little different spin and mindset from a typical prayer session. So if you're willing, I think you'll get more out of it if you close your eyes, if you're comfortable. So I'm going to invite you to just get real comfy and just let me read this to you. It says, come with me to my favorite retreat of mind. Sit with me in a lovely mountain meadow in a field of golden poppies, and reflect with me on a great thought. As I snap my fingers, imagine that the earth disappears from beneath us, and we're in space, with the moon and the sun looming large before us. I snap my fingers again, and the moon disappears, and again, and the sun disappears. Now we are deep into outer space, in a great vault of the universe. We're within a canopy of stars around us on all sides, and they appear to be sending their shafts of light specifically to us like supporting hands in the universe. Feel the universe rushing, streaming, and pouring into you from all sides while you sit quietly. And now you may be wondering, is this praying? Certainly not as the world prays, for you are the center of the universe, or of God, and is there a difference? God is a presence, totally present, so there is nowhere to bow down and worship Him, even within yourself. Can you sense the awakening to a new insight into God and you? Now, not someone to pray to, but the focus of an infinite idea being projected into visibility as you, that you are praying from. The universe is calling. It is the call of Prometheus, a restless urge that keeps you forever reaching higher. It is the pull of the more. The call of the universe is like the pull of the sun on a sunflower, which causes the blossoms to open up and face the sun continuously as it crosses the sky. It is a pull of life upward and outward on all growing things. It is a healing activity in which life is always biased on the side of health. The call of the universe. It is a key to prayer, though it is not prayer as we have been conditioned to perceive it. Your prayer is not for God to listen to. True prayer is words that God may utter through you, that you voice or feel in the silence. You may recall that Jesus said, "The voice which you hear is not mine, but the Father who sent me." And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So this is not a game of what we're praying to. This is a game of praying what we're praying from. The idea that that which we desire is not a thing or condition or a person or a place, but an experience of it. And we can go there in our minds. And when we do spiritual mind treatment and we spend the time courting the presence in the first step and aligning with the presence and allowing the courtship to be with us, the beloved, then when we step into a next step of treatment, we are actually stepping into our future now in our own ability to imagine it. Because what we want is the feeling nature of it. What we want is the experience of that. And we even expand ourselves to the infinite even more by saying this or something even greater than that. All of this is possible when we do these processes called the steps of scientific prayer or affirmative treatment or spiritual mind treatment. So I want to forewarn you, because we're going to go through them now, I want to tell you that these are steps that, like learning how to drive a car, driving the stick shift car. I don't know about the rest of you, but I remember first learning to drive a stick shift and I was pretty awful at it. And my father, thank God, was very patient. But there was a lot of bumping along and not feeling I was doing it right and stalling out, and it wasn't really effective for a while. But all of a sudden there's that one day when we're doing something repetitively like that, where all of a sudden, you know how it just goes in, right? And all of a sudden now it's mine. I own it. And I have got that sense of it is what we'll call embodied. So one of the things I have done, and Michael has done, and Megan has done, and Greg has done, is we've done these processes over and over again so many, many times in the sequence, because there's a saying that does say that order is heaven's first law. So there is an elegant sequence to why we do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5 of treatment. But beyond those steps, there is an inner vibrational purpose for each one of those steps. And once we understand and learn them and work them, then we actually get like we do with a stick shift, where it's like we're just driving down the road of life and we're completely at home in it, and we don't even think twice about it because we can be so much more there in our heart. The key is this is called scientific prayer for a reason. This is not a wish and hope and proposition. This is really stuff. This is working with mental laws, just as the master teacher Jesus taught us, scientific prayer. This is all about life being done unto us how? As we believe. So life is done unto us as we believe. So as we are able to accept a greater idea, greater believability, life must be done unto us accordingly. That's how we expand. That's that pull of the more. And life is biased on the side of doing that, so it will definitely rush in to support us in that process. So let me tell you about the step 1. This is step 1. That's the seek and ye shall find. That's going into who is God and what are some of the names we have for God. I keep a list. I don't know about the rest of you, but I love keeping a list of the names I have for God. A lot of the names I have on my list are universal intelligence, Baha'u'llah, the Buddha nature, Wakantanka, Jehovah, Elohim, the Father, the Great Spirit, love, the Absolute, all there is, the infinite, perfect, unlimited, unconditional love, all sufficiency. I could go on and on. But I love when I hear a new one, I add it to my list, because that's how God expands for me. I used to have such a different idea about God until I really began to study this. And the more I study it, you know what happens when your idea of God grows. Who else grows? I grow. Why? Because that step recognition is step 1. Okay? That seek and you shall find, that's recognition step. So the next step is called unification step. Knock and it shall be open. Well, knocking is, hello, here I am, this is me, and I'm knocking on something because I know there is something to knock to and to open to. So the second step of treatment is unification. That would be, God is all there is, infinite, perfect, whole, and complete. Being that, I know that there is nothing outside of it. There can be nothing outside of it. Therefore, I am one with that. That means that all that is me. That all that is true of God is true of me. It's not like, God is a raisin in a bun. It's not like that. It's like God is the ocean, and I am a wave in the ocean. And if you take one drop of water out of the ocean or one drop of blood out of the bloodstream, everything that is true about that entire bloodstream is true about that drop. So we are all drops of the ocean of life, and what is true, those spiritual ideas that Michael spoke about, and he related them as being what? Life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, joy, health, prosperity. So think about that, and if God is love, then I am loved and loving. If God is peace, then I am peaceful and I bring peace with me. If God is joy, then I am joyful. If God is beauty, then I am beauty and I perceive beauty. You see how this works? Because that which is true of God is true of me. Step 1, recognition. Step 2, unification. Seek and knock. Now we get to step 3. Why are we knocking? What do we want? What it is we desire. So oftentimes when we do treatment, when we do a spiritual mind treatment, we don't just get into the treatment and go blasting into it. What we often will do is we'll clarify at the very beginning before we start the actual formal process. What do I want? What do I want to have happen? What do I want to initiate? What do I want to direct in my life? What do I want to choose? This is how we're made in the image and likeness of God, because we have the ability to name. We were given dominion to name. We were given dominion over just the conditions. We are not victims of life. We are the ones who can actually choose and initiate. So those are some of the steps. This is the way affirmative prayer is a very active prayer. The 2 first steps are meditation, and we can do step 1 and 2, recognizing God and aligning with God. These are beautiful meditations that we can do anytime we want. But they're a different activity than the 3rd step of that, which is to say, okay, this is what I'm here for. I now choose to have greater good in my life. I now choose to turn up the joy, to turn the volume up on the joy in my life. I now accept for myself my right and perfect mate. I now declare that I have the right and perfect job, and that which I am seeking is seeking me. I am accepting for myself perfect health and alignment of all that needs to happen in order for that to occur. You see how this works? Now, in spiritual mind treatment, we don't go, gee, I hope this works. Because hope is not going to be having the energy in a treatment. Why? Because hope has a little bit of an idea like maybe something could be withheld from me, right? There's a little hope there, I hope this works. As opposed to, I now choose. This too is good, this too is God, this too is for me. I now, here's the big one, demand to see the blessing in it. Well, now that's attitudinal. But to think about it, it's the same kind of attitude. I could walk up to my computer, turn on my computer and say, shucks, I need some Bible verses, so I'm going to type them in and I expect my computer to give them to me, which is how I did some of this on the past couple of days. I never had to sit in front of him and go, I am a worm of the dust, and oh my God, please, oh please, God of the computer, please, oh please, give me, I don't know if I deserve it, but please bring forth something. It's just putting demand on law. Or decree, isn't that a great word? I decree a thing. So these are the ways we work in this thing called affirmative prayer, active prayer. It is asking, knowing that it is already there for me, that my good is already there. Why? Because through God all things are possible. We've been told that, and if we believe it, then we believe that our good is there already. So the other thing about that 3rd step is it's in the present moment. It's not going, gee, I hope in about 2 years I can get that house. It's going, I now accept my perfect home. I now see myself walking through the door and walking through the rooms of my life, feeling one with my good. And I may not know where that is, but God does. And God knows the address, and that which I am seeking is seeking me. So can you imagine when you stand in that kind of dominion, with that kind of attitude, you're going to feel nothing but grateful. And gratitude is the 4th step. So in all things give thanks. We've been told this. In all things give thanks. And that even means that the steps that it's going to take in order for the physical universe to manifest that which I've spoken. This is the part you've heard, wait upon the Lord. You've heard that? We wait upon the Lord. You can use sometimes when you hear these, you can take the word Lord out and put in the word law. So it would say, wait upon the law. God's time is always right. So God's time may not be our time, but God's never not on time. So when we're working with this, we also have to work with our own willingness to continue to know that that which we are seeking is seeking us, and we have chosen, we have initiated, we have directed, we have treated, we have given thanks, and we now go forth in our lives as if it is already done, with patient expectancy of good. It's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting to think that we have that much right to speak up and to speak our word. And if you're not clear on these things, we have practitioners who know how to do those things for you. Because when they speak the word for you, they're speaking it into the one mind anyway. So that in itself is the nutshell of these steps of spiritual mind treatment. It's effective prayer. So let's do one in closing. I'm going to have you, if you all like, I'm going to have you close your eyes. And what I will treat for all of us here is that what has been spoken here are the perfect words, and that what is taken away is exactly what was needed for each and every one of you to hear. That's why you're here. You are here by divine invitation. So, the first I'm going to seek. I seek first God. I first go to God. I go to all the qualities of God. I recognize all these qualities that we've spoken. I know that this is all there is. There is nothing outside of it. Infinite in scope, limitless in potential, vast in possibility. It is that open sea of all possibility, and I now drink from it. For I am one with it, and I speak my word in the first person, knowing everyone here hears my word as a voice within themselves. I now know that I am one with this infinite mind, and those ideas that I have been thinking about and desiring, that dream that's been bubbling up inside of me, is ready to come forth in my life, and I'm ready to embody it. So right here, right now, here in this room, I accept that what I've heard here today was exactly what I needed to hear to move me forward on this particular day in this brand new year of 2016. I knew I got up out of bed and came here for a reason. This is exactly what I needed to accept. Not every word that's been spoken, but something in here wants to happen. And so I am open and receptive to the highest and greatest good of what can happen for me today. Whatever I heard here, and even something greater, I now accept into my life in whatever area I am focusing on right now. And I do this with a grateful heart because I know already that if I can conceive of it, I can achieve it. That's how God is. And through God, all things are possible, so I am possible. It is so good to know that all I do is plant that seed and let God grow that tree, let God do what looks like the hard part, and I just support it in mind. Because what I do now is I release, I let go, I let God, and I step into my Sunday with an expectancy of tremendous good. This is all it needs to be. And so I affirm it by saying, and so it is. Amen.
So I accept right now, today, that I am truly delivered in this expression of life. And as I speak this word this morning, in this first person for myself, the I am, I invite you to know that I am for yourself. That I am God in expression, full and complete in every way. Because there is only one power, one presence, one intelligence in this universe. God the good. God the only presence. Call it Buddha, call it Christ. Call it whatever name you choose to call it, the universe, the one presence. It is the only presence, and I accept and know right now that each of us is a full, complete expression of this one. We are each unique, individualized expressions of this one. All the qualities that God is, I am, life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, and joy. And since there is not a spot where God is not, I accept and know that I am one with this intelligence, and so is everyone else in this universe. Each of us expressing this uniquely, individually, but all one with this one mind, this one power. And as I bring this idea more closely and more greatly into my consciousness today, I invite myself and allow myself to let go of any conditions or experiences going on in my life that may seem counter to that which I desire. And I allow myself to be present to Spirit today, to this idea that I am one in Spirit, and that I am open and receptive to God's living Spirit of truth that is moving through me right now, uplifting me, bringing me into a greater expression of life in every area through my relationships, through my expression of prosperity and abundance, through my health, my radiant health, and through my creative expression, my work. Because God is everywhere present within all my affairs, uplifting me, providing for me, supporting me. I am provided for in spirit today. I am provided for in spirit today. God is my source, my substance, and my supply, and provides everything I need through every aspect of my experience. So I give thanks this morning for having known this truth and for continuing to know this truth in this day and every day of my life, that God is all there is and that I am a part of it, an expression of it, and provided for in it. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for this truth and for knowing that this is a good day that Spirit has created. Accepting that this word that I have spoken and we have each spoken within ourselves is truly complete and fulfilled already. I release it right now, turning it over to Spirit, knowing it is done and complete. I let it be so by saying, and so it is.
So we're going to now practice this principle of prayer in a very definite, focused way, and that's in the practice of giving. We're going to do our offering now, and the way to bring that into our focus is through the affirmation, because affirmation is a form of mini prayer, if you will, unto itself, because we're setting an idea in mind of our expectation. So our affirmation today is, I give in the expectancy of my good, and I receive in the expectancy of my good. Could you repeat that with me, please? I give in the expectancy of my good, and I receive in the expectancy of my good. Now let's do it silently to ourselves. I give in the expectancy of my good, and I receive in the expectancy of my good. And again out loud. I give in the expectancy of my good, and I receive in the expectancy of my good.